Hey, it's Hazel, and today I'm going to be doing my first book review for The Observer's Atlas by McKenna Kaylin Suman. This is a poetry book that was published on July 23rd, 2023, and I wanted to give you guys my honest review, so let's dive into it. I started following her on Instagram and YouTube in 2014, and it's been really inspirational watching her poetry and art styles develop over the years, and I know she's been talking about putting out a poetry book for years and years and has been documenting her process of finding an illustrator to work with and figuring out how to self-publish. So now that it's out, I'm super proud to be supporting her work and giving this review. I want to start just by giving some information about what kind of poems are in the book. She deals with a lot of themes like death, friendships, sibling relationships, feelings of self-doubt, coping mechanisms, dreams, fears, and inspirations. Some poems are super easy to digest and straightforward, while others have more nuanced writing styles, and I found myself having to reread them a few times to understand what she was implying. What I've always loved most about McKenna's poetry is her talent for writing about literally any topic. I remember a few times where she would ask for writing prompts on her Instagram stories, and no matter what she was given, she could turn the prompt into the most beautiful, thought-out poem and post them so quickly too. Like, she was always putting out poetry so fast. It seemed like she was writing as much as she was breathing. In a similar way to that, you really get a wide range of topics covered in this book, and the individual illustrations really add to the ambiance of the stories. I also opted for the slightly more expensive copy where she signed it, wrote a little note, and added a dried flower. Like, look how cute that is. I feel like it's the little details like that that really make her stand out as an artist. I want to show you a few of these illustrations. This poem ends with, "It seems I have made a museum of me," and there's actually a full spread photo. Isn't that gorgeous? And the book itself is just beautiful. Like, it looks like it would actually be embossed, but it's printed on to look that way. The Observer's Atlas. I feel like it looks so gorgeous. It's so old-timey, and it's beautiful on anyone's bookshelf. If you're curious about an actual rating out of 10, I want to give it an 8. Some poems feel like they could have been removed to make room for stronger ones, or just left out entirely to make it a little bit of an easier read, because it is a pretty lengthy book for McKenna's first publication. This book is 335 pages. There's also this gorgeous photo of McKenna. Doesn't she just look like the portrait of an 1800s poet? Like, it's so gorgeous, it's so vibey, it gives me like Emily Dickinson feels, and you know she's my favorite poet ever, so. I'm also giving it an 8 out of 10 because I'm a sucker for traditional rhyming sequences, and I have a hard time enjoying poetry with no rhyming scheme at all, which McKenna did take advantage of with a couple free verse poems that kind of read more like random journal entries. Those often weren't my favorite, but that also isn't the majority of what's in the book. I definitely recommend this book if you want to explore some modern themes through the lens of a relatable young writer and to display this gorgeous book on your coffee table or bookshelf. I feel like I gained so much clarity about my own life while learning about McKenna's. Her willingness to be vulnerable through her poetry is truly admirable. I feel like there's a true depth to a lot of her poetry that made me feel really sad or overwhelmingly happy, and this book just left me feeling very comforted and seen in the end of it. Even in some of the saddest moments, McKenna just has a way of turning tragic things into beautiful pieces of art. I wanted to read you a few of my favorite poems just to give you a glimpse into the book. I also feel like you could really tell that she was having fun while making this. There is a page where you literally have to fold the poem in these certain ways to bend it over to make the lines match up to the words, and I feel like I've never seen anything like that before. It's so inventive, and I just love that she wasn't scared to go out of the box and try interesting things for her first book. This one is about sibling relationships. My siblings tell me they've kept all my teasing notes and terribly written poems, taped to their walls and tucked into their wallets for them to always see. I never tell them how much bliss that knowing brings me. And I don't really know who I am inside their minds. They keep count of so many memories I've lost to time. And I'm unsure how well I've shown all my affections. But you can call me with all of your arbitrary questions. And yes, I'll paint it, make it, write it, because my calligraphy is neater. Dress your wounds, though heaven knows I'm not a healer. I'll keep the secret, take the blame, trauma bond through morbid jokes. I'll be your shield should all this go up in smoke. I often say that even blood ties couldn't bind me. I won't fake fondness even if the heavens smite me. I am not tender to the masses, this much is true. But I love you, I love you, I love you. A lot of these don't have titles, otherwise I would give them to you. Here's another one of my favorites. This one's really sad too. The sad stuff's always my favorite. It's going to be okay. I'll say it and repeat it. Again 1,000 times and then pick up the pieces. Stack them high and build a roof over my head. Taking shelter under these words that I have said. It's going to be okay, and I'll crawl beneath it. Burrow safe and warm, though I often don't believe it. And perhaps I'll break them up, stitch together those letters, and I'll shape them into blankets, into sweaters. Or I'll take them, play them back whenever I'm in doubt. Until it's going to be okay, we'll drown the sadness out. That one's so good. The sad ones really are my favorite because I feel like that is an exact experience I've had without me putting it into words before she did. Here's another one of my favorites. And I no longer draw the sun in the corner of the paper. My stomach knots. I tie a string to a stick, prop it under a box, and place beneath it honeysuckles, starfruit, the slant of the climbing tree. Gently try to coax back the childhood memories. I forgot. I ate them up when I had nothing to sustain me. The fact my youth is lost is an ever-constant aching. I feel like me reading you my favorites really shows you the range that she covers in this book. There's a lot of topics that I've never heard people write about, and I really love that I feel like this is a perfect biography for her life through the form of poetry. This one is titled Treacherous Truths. I beg the world to listen, but it is words I rarely speak. Weep, time turns too hastily, whilst wishing by each day, each week. I have wondered what it is out there, yet I seldom wander far. My claim to be a fighter, and in spite, quit quick when life strikes hard. I swear to stand for justice, as I sit on sins I did not atone. I long for something different, yet I'm afraid of the unknown. I love that one because it just really highlights the internal struggle that a lot of us face to be our best selves and to truly stand up for what we believe in while dealing with the fact that that is really scary and that takes a lot of inner strength and vulnerability to be able to stand up for yourself and others. This is the last poem I'm going to read you. I'm lovely like the world at 5:07 a.m. when the sky is a shade of light blue and the street lamps are still dimmed, and the city lights are glistening, yet every soul is still asleep. I'm lonely like the early morning streets. That one's so short and sweet and simple, and it's interesting following somebody on social media for so long because I know that McKenna talks about struggling with insomnia, and so the imagery of being awake at 5:07 when the world is so quiet and beautiful and tragically lonely is just such a visceral image to paint. And this is the illustration for that one. It's just this very simple cloud. Okay, unfortunately I had to switch to my phone because my camera started overheating. I wanted to show you the illustrations for the ones I just read you. This is the I'm going to be okay one. Just this simple little teapot. It also has this girl whose coffee smoke is coming out, writing the letters "It's going to be okay" over and over again. This is the sibling one. It's got these 4 little rats on it. And this is the one about loss of youth. It's got this tree that's all tied up with rope. My final impressions are that I really enjoyed reading this. The happy moments, the sad moments, all of it was just a really enjoyable experience, and I know how much work McKenna put into this, and I'm so proud that she finally came out with the book she's been talking about for a while, and I just can't wait to see how her art changes and evolves in the future and what she's gonna put out next. After reading this book, I just feel so seen and I feel so comforted in knowing that a lot of the same things that I struggle with, she struggles with too. And the fact that you can take some of your darkest thoughts and experiences and turn them into something empowering is such an inspirational thing for me. And she actually has this farewell letter at the end of the book that I'd love to read you that I feel like really sums up my thoughts on this experience, and the fact that I'm using her own words to explain how this book made me feel just shows how self-aware she is and how intentional she is with the work she puts out. So here's the goodbye letter. That's all there is, reader. You can close the book now. There is life outside of these tattered pages, but I hope there is comfort at least in knowing the wounds are not only ours alone, the weight of it not just in our own minds, the same scars on the skin of us all. On me, which you have seen, on you too. Everyone who came before us, and all those who will come after. We are born with the same kind of human condition. The story is never really finished. I highly recommend this book. I know it's available on Amazon if you want to pick it up, and McKenna's Instagram handle is Cozy Kitsune. I will link her in the description. I feel like you should absolutely pick this up if you're interested in reading her poetry. And McKenna also has a lipstick line that I love as well, so I will link that below. I believe it's called the Kitsune Collection. I have a few different colors and they're all really nice matte lipsticks. Her Instagram is so inspirational and so gorgeous. All of her pictures are really well curated, and it just seems like she truly lives her life in an artistic way in everything she does, and I really admire that about her. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.